everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today with my May TBR. I'm really excited to be filming this. I haven't filmed a TBR in a while, I feel like. I don't know, I just got in the mood to do it. I recently started bullet journaling. That's what's right here. I didn't mean to leave it right there. But I started bullet journaling, and one of the things that I write into my bullet journal is a TBR, so I should probably film it if I already know what I'm gonna be reading. This month is gonna be really fun. I actually didn't set aside a ton of books for me to read. I didn't want to overwhelm myself or anything like that just because I am a mood reader. 9 times out of 10, if I make a TBR, I just get stressed into reading all those books, and sometimes I don't even want to read it anymore by the time I get to it. Yeah, let's kind of just jump into it. And I do want to mention that most of these books on my TBR are for the Asian Readathon. I'm really excited about this. This is a month-long readathon that is being hosted by Read with Cindy and a whole bunch of other hosts, and it's a really cool readathon. It isn't too challenging at all. I'm gonna leave some of their videos linked down below just in case you want to check them out and get more information on it, because I'm not here to give you the information on it, but I am here to tell you what I want to read for it. So yeah, let's start with that just because why not? We do have 5 challenges and we can mix and match with these challenges, but the cool thing about this readathon is the fact that every new book that you have to read has to be written by a different nationality, which is super cool. So I'll kind of run you through my options. One of these I've already read, and I'm still not positive if I'm going to be keeping this exact book for this readathon or if I'm going to be doing the next book in this world, but it just depends on whether or not that book comes in time. So that's gonna be Furthermore by Tahada Mafi. This is such a whimsical and beautiful story. It's about this girl named Alice who lives in the beautiful land of Farrenwood, and Farrenwood is rich with color. The more color you have, the more powerful you are, the more in touch with magic you are, and the more in touch with your world you are. Our girl Alice doesn't have any color at all. She has milk white skin and pale white hair and just a hint of yellow in her eyes and pink in her cheeks. And because of this, she is thought to have no magic at all. We're following Alice as she tries and finds her father, who disappeared a few years ago, and no one knows where he went, and she is determined to find him. She is determined that he is still alive, no matter where he is, and she has to do a dangerous journey to the land of Furthermore, one that isn't at all like Farrenwood, and one whose rules she has to figure out with the help of a friend. It is such an amazing story, guys. This one could count for the challenge of read a book by an Asian author, and obviously that's Tahada Mafi. She is Iranian. For the second challenge of read a graphic novel featuring an Asian character or written/drawn by an Asian author, I have decided on Fairy Tale Volume 4 by Hiro Mishima. This is a manga that you guys know I have been going through very slowly, but it is by one of my favorite manga authors. I believe it's called a mangaka or something like that. I have been really loving this story. It is so fun, kind of whimsical, very dangerous, very similar to his Rave Master series, which I loved. I feel like manga is so hard to describe because there isn't that much that happens per volume. Just know that this is sort of a fantasy manga set in a world where there are wizard guilds, and this one particularly follows a few characters from one of the most powerful wizard guilds in the whole land, and that is called Fairy Tale. So we follow them through their misadventures and through their very dangerous journey, and it is incredible. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be reading for that. Obviously Hiro Mishima is Japanese. This one is also going to count for challenge number 4, which is read a book by an Asian author that was originally written in their native language. Obviously these specific manga are originally written in Japanese. Rave Master was translated from Japanese, Fairy Tale was translated from Japanese, and so that is what I'm currently using for that challenge. And then I have a couple more books here that can count, I believe, for challenge number 3, which is read a book featuring an intersectional Asian character or written by an intersectional Asian identity. And that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kong. This is a fantasy novel that I don't know too much about. I'm pretty sure that this is like a retelling of the Opium Wars. I'm really not 100% sure, but it follows our main character Rin, who doesn't have the best home life and who is about to get married off when she decides that she's going to take an exam to get into one of the most elite military schools, and she ends up getting one of the best scores, which no one expects because Rin, unlike most of these privileged children going to this school, happens to be darker, happens to be a peasant, and happens to not have the same background that all of these elite people have. That is just sort of the basis of the story. There's so much more that goes into it. There is dark magic. I want to say that this is actually a villain origin story. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I have heard it before. I'm not positive, but I don't know so far if this would count for the intersectional Asian identity. I just know that there's many trigger warnings in this, and this is actually a book that I've just been dying to read, and R.F. Kong is Chinese, so I was like, you know what, I'll just throw it into my TBR. Who cares if it counts for a challenge or not? I want to read it. And then the other one that I have for challenge number 3 is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan, who is Taiwanese. Lee is half Taiwanese, half white, and in the beginning of the story, when she loses her mother to suicide, she believes that her mother got transformed into a bird. And this is a bird that she is going to follow all the way back to Taiwan so that she can meet her family, where her mother came from, and all these things that she never really knew about her. It's supposed to be a very touching and beautiful story. I believe that intersectional can also count for the fact that she is half white, not just half Taiwanese, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I feel like this could definitely count for that challenge. It seems very whimsical and gorgeous and fantastic. This is a book that Books with Chloe actually read last year, and I have been intrigued by it ever since, and she actually bought this for me during Christmas time, so thank you, Chloe, because this definitely is going to count for this readathon, and I'm really excited about this. I have had my eye on it for so long, and this is just the perfect excuse to finally get lost in this story. And then the last challenge is to read the group book, A Thousand Beginnings and Endings, and I don't currently own that book, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to get to it, but if I do, yeah, I'll get to it. If I buy that book, that's gonna be on my TBR as well. And then the next 2 books are also ones that I was really excited about. The first one being Gemina, which is book 2 in the Illuminae files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is a book I put off for so long. I read Illuminae before Gemina came out, and I just never got to Gemina. So Gemina is obviously a sequel to Illuminae, but it does follow different characters. While in Illuminae, we are following Katie Grant and Ezra. In this story, we follow Hannah and Nick, who are currently in Heimdall, which is sort of a location that can transport people through a wormhole to different parts of the universe, and yeah, there's not much more I can say about this without spoiling everything that happens in Illuminae, but this is an amazing sci-fi novel which takes place in the future of our world and has all these amazing technological advances. I think that Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff did such a good job of describing this world and just including all these things that are very possible and very real. And I definitely want to get to Gemina, see how the story continues, and see what happens next to our characters, because I do believe that in the final book, Obsidio, we actually have Hannah and Katie all together, but I'm not 100% sure. And last but most definitely not least on my TBR this month is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is a book that I started last month and just didn't find the time to really read it, and I want to finish it so badly. It is so fantastic. It is such an amazing story. This is the sequel to Strange the Dreamer, which is just the most beautiful and lyrical and wonderful book that you will ever read. It is a fantasy book about a boy named Laszlo Strange, who is a librarian who is absolutely fascinated by this lost city of Weep. And Weep was not always called Weep. Weep used to have a name, and then years prior to the beginning of the story, it just disappeared from every single person's mind who knew the name. His curiosity is ignited by this, and he goes on to study everything and learn anything that he can possibly learn about the city of Weep. When a convoy comes from Weep that wants to go to Weep and needs as many experts as possible on it, they take him with them. And he finally gets to see this lost city that some people had really only thought of as a myth. And it's just so good. That is just the bare minimum. That's like the first 50 pages, guys. So much happens, so many magical things. It's just beautiful, and I loved it, and it ended so extremely. Like, that is the only way I know how to describe it. It was just an extreme ending, and going into Muse of Nightmares has been such a treat because I really needed to see how the story would go on after that. If I finish any book this month, it's gonna be Muse of Nightmares. Alright guys, that is my TBR for the month of May. Let me know what books are on your TBR, or if there's any on mine that you really want me to get to. let me know down below. Obviously, as always, I'm going to have the links to all the books down in my description bar because my summaries suck, so if you want to check them out, go check that out. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye!